I'm Simon James. I'm Ecotec's Director of Learning and Skills. The organisation's had a long and honourable history in this particular area, but essentially what we do at the moment, and particularly in the area of 14 to 19, is we tend to specialise in evaluations, large or small scale. Evaluations for big government agencies on how support programmes in the area of 14 to 19 are going, or evaluations on a more local level on how pilot partnerships are going as well. We also are able to help local partnerships map their current provision. You'd think if you were living in a particular area you would sort of know what's going on, but often organisations haven't had a history of collaborating together, so we've been involved in a number of areas, in LSE areas with the LSE as a client around the country, just mapping what the particular offer is, and also, for example, where young people travel to go to study and where they'd like to travel to go to study. And so numerous governments have wrestled with the problem of how do you have a more coherent educational system that recognises that people have different sorts of skills and aptitudes, whilst, if you like, maintaining the strength of something like A-levels, a strong, recognised post-16 qualification recognised by both employers and by the academic establishment. So the situation we're in at the moment is, sitting here in early 2008, is that in September this year, the first, as it's called, line of diplomas comes on board. And the aim is that by 2013, every young person, no matter where they live in this country, will have a full choice of options to run those diplomas right across the board. Now, that causes enormous challenges, because if you've got diplomas that require far more capital investment, they're far more technical. Obviously schools aren't necessarily going to be able to afford those, but colleges are. Similarly, there may be sorts of provision within the diplomas that it's much better for schools to take up as well. And so this is going to rely on a huge amount of partnership in order to deliver these. So area partnerships for delivering 14 to 19 provision in an area are being developed now in order to develop these first this first set of diplomas. And of course that's throwing up all sorts of issues about, if you've got young people in a school and they've got to go across to a college on a particular afternoon, there are all sorts of transport issues about how you get them there, safety issues. It's not just one school to one college, it could be a number. So it's a huge logistical exercise in any area, just to tie all of those things together. The other thing to remember in terms of delivering this particular national entitlement is that 2013 is significant for another reason, because that's when the government is proposing to bring in the new raising of the school leaving age, initially to the age of 17, but then the following year to the age of 18 as well. So the aim is that what they'll have is a full suite of more vocationally focused products, because traditionally, obviously, it's people who are less academic in focus who tend not to stay on. On a local level, inevitably in any particular local area that's trying to form a 14 to 19 partnership, there's a lot of history there. It depends how the schools and colleges have collaborated in the past. It depends whether it's a rural area, whether it's a town, whether it's a large city. London obviously has particular issues itself as well. So the physical organisation and planning, and not just at the sort of strategic level of sort of shaking hands across a desk and that's it sorted, but the minutiae of the planning is what is preoccupying a lot of people at the moment. The other big issue about it is that it's a, what's the phrase? It's a big sell to have to make to young people, to employers, to universities, to the system really. This morning, as I was coming to work for the first time, here we are in central Birmingham, I saw a poster talking about What is the diploma? Well, actually, that's the first advertising I've seen at all on that. So you need to be beginning to think about how you engage people. Employers, are inevitably going to be a bit more behind this. So it's making sure that employers understand the offer, that young people do, and of course that their parents understand it as well and are prepared to support or encourage young people. What we found in some of the work that we've done is that parents don't necessarily have a strong idea of what the labour market are like, whatever way they choose to describe it. I'm not sure parents come home at night and say, darling, I've been looking at the labour market. But, their sense of what job opportunities are actually out there. And so it's making sure that parents are on board, understanding that these qualifications will give young people academic experience, vocational experience, and experience of the world of work all at the same time, enabling them to have a broader range of chances. We did a bit of work for what was the DFES, now the DCSF, which was to run a series of regional consultations with young people. Basically, we went out to 9 Premier League football grounds around the country and talked to invited groups of young people, explained to them about what the particular reforms were about, and young people 14 to 19 are not backward in coming forward about what they found. And what we discovered is that they had very limited awareness of these changes that were going on at all. And on the other hand, though, once those changes were explained to them, they generally thought they were a very good idea and were very clear about some of the frustrations in terms of the current system, the sort of levels of information they felt they were getting from their schools. It's fascinating sitting in on some of the sessions where you had young people explaining their feelings about the system, and because a lot of them had for safety reasons and all the rest, had to have their teachers with them. Some of the teachers came up to us after and said it was a complete eye-opener that they'd never heard their kids talk so articulately. They said, well, why should they be surprised? But they'd never been an opportunity to hear the young people that they teach, interact with every day, go back and speak so eloquently about some of the failings and aspirations that they had for the system in the future.